Well, thank you so much, everybody. Welcome to the Bazz Reviews YouTube channel. First interview here. Hope you guys are all doing well. And what a way to start it off. We've got LA-based singer-songwriter BAIRD in the house right now. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm chilling, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just hanging in there. The holiday season went pretty well. I hope it was the same for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Hanukkah went well. I don't know how your Hanukkah was, but
No, actually, I celebrate Christmas. So, it's kind of weird, right? Because it's like everybody at like these stores, like I'm at home for the holidays right now, and like, we're going to all these stores and they're like, oh, have a Merry Christmas. But like, what if I celebrate like Hanukkah, or what if I celebrate like Kwanzaa, right?
yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
it just feels like kind of insensitive.
Yeah, I kind of grew up celebrating both, but neither like very seriously. It's just
Right.
little
I mean, anyone can celebrate
dabbling
Christmas. It doesn't
holidays.
matter.
Yeah, it's nice. I wish I were on the East Coast because I think it's like snowy where my parents are in Baltimore. Here, it's just a
Yeah,
bit
no,
of
I
a steam
mean,
noise.
Christmas, we got like what, 8, 9 inches apparently is what they were predicting, but we had a white Christmas, so to speak.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. Yeah, but starting off the interview here, like you mentioned just a few minutes ago, um, you know, you're making music with your brother. Your dad was a musician, but like, which specific like albums and artists were really like some of your biggest influences to start a career?
I feel like there's a few people that really were really important. Growing up, my parents were always just playing music, especially Stevie Wonder and Santana. I think the first time that I was like heard music that was like, oh, I need to make music, or like that changed my conception of what music would be, it was like J. Paul, that like leaked mixtape of his from like 2013. And also like James Blake's first record, the self-titled one, I thought was like crazy when that came out. So yeah, I would say that. The Dirty Projectors too. I don't know if you know them, but like
Yeah, no, Dirty Projectors is cool.
yeah,
They did Bids of Orca back in like what 2009, and then Swing Low Magellan, both really great records.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It was it's an Orca that we had on CD in the car, and that was just like
Okay.
always playing. So yeah, stuff like that. Kind of like the big early influences.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Like I remember like I had like 2K back in the day, and they put, well, whoever was manufacturing the soundtrack that year decided to put like a Dirty Projector song on the soundtrack. I forget. I
Oh
think it was like
yeah,
Stillness is the Move, I think it was, and like that was
that's
like my first
awesome.
introduction to them.
Yeah, dude, shouts out the 2K sync agent, whoever that is, because that's really cool. Honestly, I got put onto a lot of music through FIFA
Oh,
growing up.
yeah,
So,
FIFA's like all the FIFA soundtracks are like great. Like there's like specific playlists like FIFA songs like all the way through
yeah,
the years, and that's like where I find a lot of really cool songs.
totally. It's become like a joke with me and my manager where I'll make a certain type of song and he'll be like, dude, could be a FIFA look. But yeah, I love FIFA music.
Would you ever want your song to be featured in a video game? Like if like
Definitely. Yeah.
EA or somebody said, "Hey, we love your song. Like, can we feature it in FIFA, whatever year it is?"
Oh, totally, man. Yeah. I,
Yeah. No, I'm sure
I
that's
mean,
like because I've
first of all, it's a
interviewed.
bag, and then
Right. Yeah.
beyond that, it's just like if I could have kids playing FIFA to my song, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've interviewed a couple bands that like were in FIFA from a while
Yeah.
back, but like they were super grateful for the opportunity. So I'm sure that'd be really great for you as well.
I feel like it was 11, 12, and 13 for me were like the peak FIFA soundtrack days. But
Yeah, no,
also I
I'd
thought I
agree
was
with that.
biased because of that, because of
Yeah,
like where I was in my life at the time. But
yeah, definitely. I'd agree with that. Like FIFA 13 was like one of the first ones that I played growing up.
yeah,
And that was a really fun one.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
definitely great soundtrack there. So next question here. So, I mean, obviously with like COVID and all, like still going on, we're in the new year now. I mean, like, but how have you personally been staying active during like the pandemic? Like, have you been doing like, any of these like live stream shows? Have you been working on any new projects? I know you just had a new album drop recently, Birdsongs Volume 2, which I'm going to ask you a little bit about later, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what about
Yeah,
like anything on?
mostly working on music. Yeah, mostly just working on new stuff, working with other people, and then working on with my brother, and then working on my own project primarily, especially this last week or so. I've really been focusing on that. So, yeah, mostly just working on my own stuff. Would probably make my manager happy if I did live streams and stuff like that. But I like to just leave my phone at home and go to the studio and lock in for a while if I can. So I'm like fortunate enough to have a studio that's not my bedroom for the first time in my life, like since I moved to LA. And that's just been like a blessing and an amazing place to go, and just it's good to have somewhere to go for me in the morning. So I like, even though it's it's quarantine stuff, I sleep here and then wake up, get on my bike, go to the studio, work all day, and come back, and it's just like a nice routine to have.
No, yeah, that's great, man. And like I saw you like on your social medias, like I've seen you build that studio. It looks really, really freaking cool, man.
Yeah, thank you, dude. Yeah, if you need any advice on building sound panels, I got you. Well, I can point you to the YouTube video that I copied to make it, but it worked well. Yeah.
Yeah. But tell me a little bit more about like making music with your brother. I mean, I kind of touched on that in like the first question, but like how has like that kind of been special? I'm sure that's really cool to be making music with a sibling like that. I'm not sure a lot of
Yeah.
musicians could really relate to that, kind of being like, I've made stuff. I mean, there are some, but I'm just saying like, like you, I've heard you've made a lot of records with your brother. So I'm just curious to know a little bit more about that.
Do you have a brother?
Yeah, I actually have two brothers.
Oh, right on. That's cool. Do you ever like make stuff with them?
No, they're not like the musically inclined type. I did marching band in high school, and that was like about it. And that's like all of like the musicianship I have. Never played piano, never played guitar. And it's kind of ironic because I run like a music blog and I'm not really musically
Ah,
savvy.
nah, dude. I mean, I don't think that's really important to appreciate music. I think like, I don't know. If you enjoy it, then you enjoy it. Sometimes I think it's better to not make it or to not be involved with music, actually, to like consume it and kind of have a more naive approach to it where you're not like analyzing things too much. Sometimes I miss that.
No, that's
But
interesting. I've never
yeah,
actually thought of it that way. I try to kind of know what I'm talking about when I'm like doing a review or something, but
yeah,
I think I haven't really heard it said that way before, like not really knowing that much and kind of giving your own take on it, just being like, I like the way this sounds, so, or I like the way this makes me feel, so,
yeah,
album.
yeah. Then you have a more kind of pure approach to it. I don't know. I feel like sometimes you see reviewers who try to like act like they know more than they do, and then that turns into a problem. I think if you're just like, I think if you're honest about like what you know and how something makes you feel, then like you kind of can't go wrong, you know.
No,
But
that's interesting. I've never really thought of it that
anyway, I totally off your question. The question was about my brother. His name is Gabe. He records under the name Goldwash. He's 2 years older than me. Basically, we grew up just making music together and jamming all the time. We had like a little makeshift drum set in the basement, and yeah, we just always like the same music. And every time I find like a new artist I'm excited about, I'll show it to him, and vice versa, or an old artist I'm excited about. And basically, when I moved out to LA in April, it was just like a natural thing for us to work together on everything. Like, it's not necessarily that we're starting songs together. It's more that I'll like make something because we're both multi-instrumentalists. So like I'll start something or he'll start something, and then after I feel like I have kind of like a workable draft of what I like and what I was envisioning, then I'll like show it to him, and he'll be like, oh, change this chord, or what if you sang this part on a different mic, or I don't know, what if you switched it up and dropped the samba beat and made it a little bit more R&B or whatever it is. So it's just really good to bounce ideas off of each other. We're not like doing as much new, we haven't done as much like starting from scratch together in the past, but we're actually starting to do that now. And we've kind of, as we've built this studio and have gotten that together and have met some like other musicians here, we're kind of starting to do more like a band, more like an arts collective sort of vibe. That's going to be called the South Hill Experiment. And we're going to be making a lot of instrumental music. And we kind of have plans for another record after I finish mine to do together. So,
Oh, it's dope.
yeah.
Wish I could really do that with my brothers. It's like they're always giving me shit for like all the music that I like, because like they're into like modern rap or whatever, kind of like
That's
Juice
cool.
World, and they're like, you don't like Juice World? I'm like, no, it's just not my thing, man.
Yeah, I like Juice WRLD.
Well, I mean, okay, maybe like
Yeah.
other than like Lucid Dreams, I mean, he's not like my favorite. Like I feel like
Yeah.
that's kind of my thing. Like I'm kind of like an outspoken critic of like those like sad rappers, if you will, like emo
Okay.
rappers. It's like those people who listen to them, and like I think their fan base is just like kind of cringe, to be honest. Like they're like, I'm so sad. Like I've never like, but like if you've like to me personally, this is my 2 cents. Like if you had like a guy like Elliott Smith, for example, right, or like Jason
Mhm.
Molina from Songs Ohio, like those people that have like actually been through that kind of stuff, like depression, like they both committed suicide, right? Like
Yeah.
both went through some really tough shit in their life, like that, and you can hear the depression in their music. Like I feel like that speaks more to me than something like Juice World. That's just my opinion though.
Yeah, I think there is like definitely right now a very everyone knows and sees that there's a market for talking about mental illness and stuff in music right now. And I think it's definitely good to be skeptical of that, and also like how kind of corporatized it's become, and how it kind of like it's just like I don't know.
No, I think that's a good way of putting it, actually.
It's
Just
tricky, but I personally have never taken Juice WRLD that seriously. Um, and honestly got like way more into his music after he passed, which is kind of sad, but kind of I don't know. I feel like that's the way that a lot of times people will get into artists. So uh, I don't know. I'm not hating on Juice WRLD. I think he's got some nice songs. A homie of mine like produced one of the big ones on his last record.
no, no way.
Um, yeah, I mean the music is like sugar. You know what I mean? It just sounds incredible. It's not like what I'm trying to make, but I think it's cool. You know, I'm no
Yeah,
malice
it's
for
not really like my beef with like like to your point, like the music, like the production sounds cool, but like his voice in general just isn't like something I can really get down with.
yeah,
It all sort of starts to sound the same after a bit of time when you listen to it.
totally, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but like I can kind of see your point about like how to get into artists like after they die. Like one for me was Mac Miller. Like that was my pick for album of the year. Like it was really good. I
sure.
loved it, and that was like the first Mac album
Yeah,
I never heard actually.
wow,
And it just like
yeah.
really spoke to me in such a way like that is how you do like a posthumous album right, in my opinion, because you
You
look at
just you
guys
get
like,
John Bryan to do it.
well, I think, well, to me it sounded like he wasn't trying to like, he did not want to mess it up at all, and it sounds like pretty fucking awesome.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
but
great
like
album.
you look at guys like Juice World or XXX like that's what we were just talking about. It feels very corporatized. Like, these estates are just like milking out every leak they have left. And they're like, okay, let's just make an album and get some money from it. Like that I
Yeah,
feel is unfair to the artist.
yeah,
Like after they've died, just like trying to keep capitalizing on their fame. But like
yeah. I
Mac
don't know if it's
is
the
like,
estates or the labels or the managers or whoever it is that has a cut on it. I would guess a lot of it's really from the labels, actually.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, but switching gears here, like in your life, it seems like academia has been very important. Like, you traveled to Spain when you were in high school. I also did the same thing. I'm curious, like, to know about your experience there.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, you really dug deep, dude.
I tried.
I
Thank you.
I spent a summer in Santiago de Compostela in Galicia in the northwest of Spain. But I've never been to any other part of Spain, which is a shame because it seems like an amazing country. But I love a lot of music from Spain too. So yeah, that was kind of just like me wanting to, up my Spanish speaking skills and like have a random experience, um, which I continue to try to do. I think it's good to just like shake things up and go to places where you don't know anybody if you have the privilege and ability to do that. So um, yeah, that was shout out Spain. Spain's awesome.
No, yeah, I agree. I
Great
actually studied.
transportation.
I studied
Yeah.
in Sevilla, which was incredible experience. I was there for 2 weeks
Oh,
for
dope.
my junior year of high school, and that was like incredible. Like it was just an incredible time, just like seeing the city itself. I mean, it's so old and so historical. There's like all this really nice cathedrals in the south of Spain, which are really nice.
Yeah. It's funny, everyone in the north, so Galicia is like kind of the northwest, like the part
Right.
that hangs above Portugal. Everyone just like talked shit about the south of Spain. It was like they're so lazy, they don't do anything, they like go to bullfights, it's like super inhumane. I was like, I thought everybody in Spain loved bullfights. It's like, nah, bro. It's like any country, I think at first you kind of see it as a homogenous thing, and then you get there and it's like, oh no, it's actually like lots of things going on here that are very different, and people have like even just one part of town versus another part of town, people feel a lot of pride towards where they're from. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no, that
cool.
makes a lot of sense. And I actually, it kind of feels like it is here, right? Like all the northern people think like the southern people are a bunch of idiots. They're lazy, do nothing
Mhm.
people.
I think some of it has to do with the weather too. It's just a lot like in the north it's more like German vibes in terms of the weather and stuff, so they call like Galicia's like the Germany of Spain, whereas in the south it's just so hot all the time. It's like
Yeah, it
hard to do
it was
anything. You
fucking
have to take a nap, it's so hot.
right. It was blazing hot down there. Like I think it was like I think we went out to like fuck was it like Tavira, which is like on like the coast of Spain. It was like 40 Celsius, which I think is probably over 100 if I'm not mistaken.
Definitely, yeah,
Yeah, it
damn,
was like fucking scorching that day.
that's crazy.
Yeah, got some
Yeah.
pretty nasty sunburns from that. not ideal, but you know what? It's whatever. Yeah, and I mean, you also went to Brown, I saw, which is really impressive. That's a great school, like academia again. Like what kind
Yeah,
of experiences did you have there? Like, how did that kind of formulate that you wanted to have a music career, so to speak?
I kind of wanted to the whole time, and now I don't know. It's you don't want to question decisions too much, but it's interesting like to see the different paths of development that you can take. So I chose to go to college. A lot of people in this like making music didn't. So it's just interesting, different different set of experiences and stuff. Um, I studied music and Latin American studies there, so like I was pretty much able to just continually get put on to great artists through the classes that I was taking, which is dope. But mostly I would say I just like met like a lot of my like best friends and favorite people and like people who put me onto all sorts of different music and just like I don't know, it's just like a lot of great people. I feel like I probably learned more from my friends than the classes, but also learned a lot from classes. I don't know. So it's like easy to see college through kind of like rose-colored glasses. I think now being like a year out or so and just being like, man, that shit was so great. But I don't know. I had a really great time. Learned a lot. Just like a lot of perspective changes. A lot of good conversations. Yeah, I don't know. The program that I went to is like it's called Multimedia Electronic Music Experiments or MEME. And there's a lot of kind of just like far out like Max for Live programming stuff, like art installation, sound art, that sort of stuff. So it's cool to get like exposed to that world too, which I don't know like where else that would like really happen. But yeah, I don't want to like necessarily, be like known as like the academic music producer, you know what I mean? But I definitely like value that stuff. Both my parents are teachers actually. So it's like, I don't know, I value like, doing your research and your reading and like really being a student of things. And the way that you hear like rappers talk about it too, it's like you got to be a student of rap if you're going to be a rapper. Um, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, no, that's still really cool, man. Like
College.
that's really cool to be like a Latin American studies like minor and like kind of enrich your knowledge of like all those countries and stuff. Like, what's your favorite Latin American country if you had to pick one on the spot?
Mexico.
Yeah, no, because you actually lived there, right, for a part of time.
Yeah, I lived there for like 8 months last year, 7 months, like most of last year.
Wow, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
like, I guess continuing off of that, like, you've lived in LA, you've lived in Baltimore, you've lived in, Mexico, but like, which place has had the most impact on your music and artistic process as a whole?
Probably Baltimore, just because I spend the most time there. And like growing up, there was kind of the lore of like Baltimore indie bands, like Animal Collective,
Beach
um,
House.
Beach House. Yeah, exactly. Yay, Sayer. Um, yeah, Future Islands. It's kind of like this like scene of like that was kind of before my time to be honest, but like this is kind of this like lore and this legend of like being an indie act out of Baltimore. There people would make jokes that like if you were like a white dude with a drum machine from Baltimore, like Domino would give you a record contract between like 2008 and 2012. It's kind of true. Like that, there was a lot of stuff going on, and there still is a lot of really cool music in Baltimore. So I would say Baltimore has like had the most influence.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's interesting. And, the scene in Baltimore is kind of evolving now towards, I think, like more rap, I would say, right? Because like JPEG Mafia is huge from there. I'm not really familiar with the scene as a whole, but I know, JPEG has definitely really helped that scene flourish in a sense because I think there are a lot of smaller guys that have come out of there as well.
Yeah, he's not really from Baltimore, but I guess he moved to Baltimore when he was like trying to start his career as a musician, and like lived at the Bell Foundry and stuff. Yeah, there's kind of always been like a cool like flourishing underground hip hop scene. I feel like he's kind of helped shed some light on it for the time that he was there. But he's put on guys like Butch Dawson, my homie YTK, this guy 4K Michael. Yeah, there's a lot of cool rap in Baltimore too, definitely would say. And then there's like the big guys like Shorty Shorty, like what's his name, Band Chaser Izzy. Probably got that wrong, but anyway, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in Baltimore, I would say.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So going back to like, Spanish for a second here, like, why do you choose to write in like a foreign language? Like I know Lo que tuvimos is an example of that. one of your songs off your newest record.
For me, writing in Spanish, it's just like kind of a useful writing device. It's just like I get in my head too much when I'm writing lyrics, and I think about like how much, I don't know, how much of certain sides of you come out when you're writing, you know? And a really kind of go-to way to get around that is to write in Spanish for me. So I obviously don't speak Spanish natively. Like I speak it pretty well. I spoke it a lot better when I was like actually living there and going to school there. But you know, generally try to keep up with what's going on in Spanish language pop. And I listen to a lot of music in Spanish, like old timey stuff too. So for me, it's just kind of a way to like try to get around just like getting in my head too much with writing. And specifically with the song that you mentioned, Lo que tuvimos, it's like I was kind of writing that style as writing in that song in the style of trios, which are kind of like this genre of music that was big in Mexico in like the 40s and 50s. It was kind of like the pop music of that time. So that's why there's like a 3-part harmony on it too. It's kind of like an allusion to that. But yeah, I would say that's why I do it. I had a song on my first EP or my first mixtape called Espérame that was also had a little part in Spanish. But I also don't want to be like treading on anybody's toes or like trying to claim something that's not mine. So it's never going to be like, oh, this is like me doing like a Spanish record and it's like, you know, look at me. I don't know. It's like, it's a nice way to kind of like get around like writer's block sometimes, but it's not like that serious, or like, it's not like I'm going to like turn around and make a reggaeton album, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair. And I mean, that's all the power to you if you want to do it someday.
Yeah. I do like making reggaeton. I just don't show anybody.
Yeah, yeah. So switching gears here, like, I'm not really sure if like, you know, the live show is very prominent for you, but like, would you say you prefer working in the studio rather than playing live if you had the choice?
I just haven't had as many opportunities to play live, but I'm actually really interested in it now, especially now that there aren't any shows. I really miss going to shows, and I miss playing the little bit that I did. I did like a bunch of basement shows in college, just like, you know, nothing hi-fi at all, but just like really, it's really fun. So yeah, I've actually been reading this book by David Byrne, you know, the guy from the Talking Heads,
Yeah, no, I know.
also from Baltimore.
I didn't know
And
that.
yeah, he's kind of similar trajectories. He went to RISD in Providence, and he's
Mhm.
from Baltimore. So it's kind of like that same, like, born and raised in Baltimore, moved to Providence for college sort of thing. But then he moved to New York, and I like ran off to Mexico. So basically, he wrote this book called How Music Works. That's like has a whole chapter on like performance and his views on it and stuff. And it was super interesting. So that's all to say. Yeah, I'm like really looking forward to actually getting a band together and playing a lot of this stuff out. Whenever that sweet vaccine hits, probably like, well, June, who knows?
Yeah, that's what Pfizer's guaranteeing is everyone by June. But I guess, you know, kind of on the same thing as writing and working on new music and stuff, not as, you know, not like for the live show or whatever, but like, can you like describe the writing process on your most recent record, Bird Songs Volume 2, and like, how did that differ from any of your past releases?
It's just harder, man. It's just like, it seems like it should get easier, but it just gets harder. I try to make things that are better than what I've put out before. I think everybody does that. So the writing was sometimes just a hard process. Sometimes it's just like, man, you gotta just like let this go and like let whatever's in your head flow out. But the writing process, I don't know, just kind of took time to finish it. I would also say it's kind of like it took me longer than I think the record I'm working on now is taking me, because I was doing so many different things. Like I was in college and then I moved back home and I moved to Mexico. So yeah, it was kind of drawn out, to be honest, but I'm glad it came together like it did. Like I'm definitely happy with the record. Um, yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, and like, what would you say is more important to you personally as a musician, like lyricism or production value and instrumentation?
It's honestly mostly been like growing up, I always cared way more about production and instrumentation, chords, melodies. Um, and only in the last like few months have I really started to like, I think I really care about lyrics. So hopefully that means my lyrics get better, not worse. But now it's more like 50-50, I would say. Yeah. I would say like half and half, like try not to value one more than the other. But I've started to get more into like old Americana singer songwriters and stuff. And like, I've always been a fan of Joni Mitchell, and like part of it is like her melodies are crazy, her chords are interesting, but really thinking about what she's saying and like reading her lyrics. Um, my friend Ian has gotten me into just like reading lyrics as I listen to music, and he's just telling me, he's like, dude, you should really just do that whenever you listen to new music. So yeah, I would say like half and half, but kind of like more and more like lyrics are kind of important to me.
Okay. That's interesting. No, just reading lyrics as you're listening to songs. Yeah, wow, I've never actually tried that. Because for
Just
me, I feel like the first listen, like I'm automatically drawn to the production, and that's kind of
yeah,
like from the, naivety. Like I'm not like I'm no lyricist, I'm no like music genius by any means. It's kind of like I'm a layman. It's kind of like, hey, you know what? It sounds good. I like it. If it doesn't, I don't, but
oh for sure. And I think a lot of times like you don't always want to read the lyrics. Sometimes you read the lyrics and you're like, shit, man, like I like this song, but now like I realize it's like pretty dumb, you know. I feel like that happens sometimes. So just every now and then, like you find something where it's like, if you vibe to something and then you read it and the lyrics are like really good and you didn't even realize, then it's like you kind of get to that whole new level up, I think.
right. No, that's fair. That's an interesting way of looking at it, though. And
Sometimes the song's just a vibe and the lyrics don't really matter. So that's
yeah,
also totally legit. And I don't think like songwriting and lyrics is like the most important part of a song. You know, like you could have a song that's just an amazing drum groove, and then the lyrics mean nothing. And like I don't have any problem with that. Let's definitely put it on.
Interesting. Yeah, and I'm really excited to visit some of Joni Mitchell's stuff. I think I put Blue down for my classics reviews in I think next month, February.
Oh, dude, definitely. I would check out some of her other records too, if you
Okay.
can.
Which one?
Blue's kind of like her most confessional, personal, vulnerable stuff. You know, it's like all
Okay.
very like personal life stuff. But the Hissing of Summer Lawns is a record I really like. Also, it's a little later,
Okay.
and yeah, I don't know. Songs for a Rose is really good from before that. Court and Spark is really good. She's just got a lot of good records, especially in those like early mid years. Once she started going jazzy, it was like it's kind of hard to listen to sometimes, but yeah,
Cool.
Blue's
Well, thanks for
amazing,
the
dude.
recommendations.
Definitely read those lyrics, and also if you can look into it. I don't know if you're like interested in that sort of thing, but um, a lot of that stuff is written about like Leonard Cohen and like other like famous people in her life, and there's kind of like all this like stories and lore around those romances and stuff.
Okay.
So I don't know if like, yeah, that's a great album. I'll stop
Cool.
rambling.
Very excited. Thank you again for the Joni Mitchell one-on-one
Yeah, yeah. I got
enlightening me.
let me see. I was just listening to this, The Hissing of Summer Lawns, and this has like the lyrics. This is what's cool about it. It's like it has the lyrics like printed out inside. So
Oh
you can
wow.
like
Yeah, that's
read
what a
it.
lot of old records would do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a big record collection? You a big record collector guy, or just like is that one you have just lying around?
I kind of since I've moved around a lot, like it's hard to hold on to them. You know,
Yeah.
I
That's
bought a
fair.
bunch in college and would always go to the Dollar Bin with my homie Tyler. But we ended up at the end of the year, like when everybody graduated, we kind of like just ended up trading in. Actually, that's funny. I hadn't thought of this, but we actually traded in like a whole. You traded in by the stack. Like the guy doesn't even like look at what the records are. Just be like, all right, I'll give you like $5 per stack. So we like put together a stack of records. Ended up getting like $20 in cash from him. And then as we were walking out of the store, I saw Blue, Joni Mitchell on vinyl for $20, and I was like, "Fuck it, man!" I bought it. so
Do you
yeah,
trade
but
like
that I left in Baltimore. Like I have a bunch of records I left in Mexico City. So and here in LA, I have like 10 records or something. But
That's fair. The essential. What would you say are some of your desert island picks for like records if you had to pick some? Blue, obviously.
definitely the J. Paul leaks, 2013 leaks. Probably the first thing. Man, I don't know, because it's got to be something also that you can like listen to a lot and keep getting new things out of it. Yeah, I would put Blue up there for sure. Maybe In a Silent Way by Miles Davis.
Okay.
And then something like really just like maybe like in In Color, Jamie XX, or I don't know, something like really with a lot of energy to it also, because you'd have to have a good balance if you're gonna
That's
be on
fair.
a desert island.
I've never really considered In Color like a hype up record or one with a lot of energy. It's just to me, it's always been very mellow,
Yeah,
but
I
still
feel
good record nonetheless.
yeah.
Yeah, but back to the I guess writing process here. Like, what have been some of your favorite songs that you've written over the years, and like, are there any fun stories behind any of the songs?
Um, yeah, I guess there's some fun stories. I wrote this one song on my first project about a Tinder date that went really poorly. I wrote that song Beluga Baby about a car because I was kind of just like riding this car around the whole summer. Wrote a love song to the car. The car's named Beluga. Um, yeah, I like to write songs as like little like letters to people or letters to myself, you know, note to self. I'm trying to get more into like writing from other perspectives. So I have a song I'm working on now. It's from the perspective of like a distant family member who I like didn't really know very well, but trying to like imagine what they would think, you know? So, yeah, there's a lot of cool songwriting exercises, I guess, different ways you can go with it. But I still consider myself pretty novice as a songwriter in general. I'm like more of a producer than a songwriter. So that's where I'm definitely still like learning, you know?
That's fair. Yeah, that's kind of cool with like, kind of right. And that's what a song should be. It's kind of like even though, not every song is perfect, it's a reflection of where you are in your life, kind of like letters to your past self, letters to your current self, whatever it may be.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But I guess I was going to ask you the flip side of that question. Like if there was one song like you could rewrite or delete entirely from your discography, like would you pick one or a couple?
Nah, I like them.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, because there are some people who are like, like, yeah, I would probably rewrite this song or, I rewrite songs because I want to make them better or whatever. So that's fair.
Oh, a lot of them could be a lot better. Pretty much all of them could be a lot better. But I've never put something out that I was like, damn, this is as good as it could be. Like that's never happened.
Okay.
you know?
Yeah, no,
But I also think they're like valid reflections of like what I was doing at the time. So I think it's just up to me to make the next record better than the last one and just like keep trying to evolve and surprise people.
absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah. But like knowing everything you do now about music, what is, maybe a letter to your past self now? Like what is one thing you would say, hey, heads up for this, hey, heads up for that, whatever it may be.
I guess just like what level of past self are we talking? Like 18-year-old?
I guess whenever you started music, whenever you started getting serious about music, whenever, I'm
I think
just
an
curious.
important thing is to like not to put too much weight on the internal conversations that you have in your head, you know. I think I'll overemphasize like I like working alone, right? So I'll like be there on my headphones or be at the studio alone or wherever for like until a few months ago I was only working like in the bedroom where I was living, um, wherever that was. So I kind of had this emphasis on like, okay, I need to make it sound perfect to myself. And there's value in that, but I think there's like, I really overlooked the value in working with other people and getting other people's feedback on things. And like to finish a song or to finish a project, it requires a lot of just like talking through what does the song want to be? Where could this go? And kind of only having those conversations with myself, I think I've limited myself, and not in a way where I wish I would revise things from the past, but just in a way where I'm like, uh, yeah, realize that there are other possibilities out there, and it's like really nice to like share those creative conversations with people. So yeah, I would honestly say just like send more demos to more friends, you know, because I love doing that, but I do it so rarely. So yeah, that's my answer.
Sweet. Yeah, that's definitely a huge part of music. Like as much as you think it sounds great in your head, getting some other, cross references, making sure, hey, does this sound good? Hey, how could this be
Yeah.
better? I think it's a really important exercise. But like what do you want everyone, watching this now to kind of know about you, your music, what you do now, what you're going to do?
I mean, they don't have to know anything if they don't want to. I'm out here, you know, working hard trying to make songs that you can listen to in the car or in your headphones or maybe at a function. Yeah, I'm just trying to experiment and have fun, and hopefully it's like music that people enjoy, you know. But no, there's nothing essential you need to know about me. My name is BAIRD. Rhymes with scared. It's not how I feel. Um, yeah, I think that's it, man.
It's
I'm
a good
appreciative of
mantra.
everybody who listens. I'll say that. I'm really appreciative of people that listen to me, and like when people reach out and say like, "Oh, I just found your music" or whatever. I think that's dope. So it's cool to see how much of an impact it's had. Definitely more of an impact than I thought when I was making it. Um, and I don't know. I've never been too interested in like the idea of like really exploding at any point. It just feels like a steady build. So that's been fun, and yeah, I'm just continuing to do that. So.
Sweet. Yeah, that's an interesting mantra. My name's Baird, rhymes with scared, but that's not how I feel.
Yeah, I came up with that the other day. I was like, maybe I should use that at a show or something, you know? Um, I like rhymes. I've been rhyming a lot. I've been writing like little raps and stuff, which has been really fun. Some of my friends here have like rap a lot more, and I don't know. It's giving me more courage to do that.
That's cool, man. Yeah, rap
Yeah,
is just one of those, it's like you're so like I don't know, some people would be like afraid to dabble in because it's like such a I don't know, it's such a massive art form that's like one that a
yeah,
lot of people respect, but like once you start to get into it and just like learn how to rhyme and stuff, like it's like okay, this isn't too bad now.
yeah. I think if anything, like there's a certain like amateurism that's like really really fun. So that's why and creative. So that's why for me it's like really good to experiment because like I'll try to like break into a new form or whatever, or it's just like getting into drawing or I don't know, making podcasts. Who knows what it'll be? But like anytime you do something like that, it's like there's a law of diminishing returns, right? So like at the beginning, you like get a lot of returns when you're starting to do something new. So yeah, and just obviously, rap is the greatest music ever. So
That's facts. Yeah, love rap a lot. A lot of great rappers out there. Like if you had to put together like a hip hop like Rushmore, unrelated of course, but like who would you pick? Top four.
top four, damn. I feel like no matter what I say, there's definitely room for critique. But I would probably say like Andre, Kanye, Missy Elliott, Young Doug.
Wow, it's an interesting top four. I've never actually heard anyone say Andre 3000 in there.
Oh my God.
Because he's
He's
so good. I mean, it's just like he hasn't put out any solo music, which is such a disappointment. Like since Outkast, he's just done like a handful of features and that's it.
yeah, I mean he comes hard on those features though.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like just I want to hear that Andre 3000 solo project whenever it may be.
Yeah, I don't know if you listened to that interview he did with Rick Rubin last year,
I don't
but
think no, I don't think I did.
he's been feeling really uninspired. At least he was a year ago, and like was much more into playing bass clarinet. He put a couple of songs on SoundCloud last year, actually. I don't know if you peeped; they were really cool
Okay.
instrumental stuff.
Are they under his name?
Yeah,
Okay, sweet. I'll check them out. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, and then of course Kanye would be on mine as well. Love all of his music. I mean, this is always one that's up for debate, but favorite record from him.
From Kanye.
Yeah.
I was talking about this with my friends the other day. The better question is like, what's the worst Kanye record? Because no matter what you say, someone's gonna come for you.
Okay.
um,
Then I'll ask
my
that question. What's the worst?
personal favorite record is not a lot of people's personal favorite. It's Graduation.
That's
I
not a
could,
bad take. I would put Graduation top three. It's one that's grown on me a lot from like
yeah,
that was like my first introduction to Kanye when I first got into him. So I mean that's why it kind of has like a personal place in my heart. But I think for me, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, as pretentious as that is the number one.
yeah. No, I don't think that's pretentious. I think it's like it's his most kind of complete work. I heard that from I don't know if you know Che Pope, who's one of his producers. But I met him the other day, and he was talking about that as like his favorite Kanye record too.
Oh, no
So
way. That's cool. Yeah, I think that is probably how I view it too. Just very complete. Like you listen to like College Dropout, Late Registration. Like if like as we were just talking about, it feels very amateurish.
yeah,
He's great. Like he's going somewhere, but like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, I think to me is just the most complete. Just front to back, just listen.
yeah.
Yeah. But that was an interesting thought though. Like on the worst Kanye album, what would you say is the worst?
I hate to pick it. I would say 808s, but it's not like I really think it's a bad album. I think it's an amazing album. It's just like never clicked with me in the way that it's clicked with a lot of people. There's a
Yeah.
couple of records on there that I think are amazing,
Okay.
but I think there's also that kind of his lowest lows. Well, okay, that's assuming we don't count Watch the Throne, right? We don't count like any of the mixtapes.
Right.
We're not counting Yay or Jesus is King. Because if it were those two, I would probably pick Jesus is King, even though I still think there's some good records on there. But yeah, that was the parameters of the discussion I was having with my friends, was that, because it was like, we can't count the most recent stuff. And I don't know, what would you say?
See, that was kind of it for me. Like for a bit of time, like I thought 808s was like the worst, but then it grew on me as well. Like
Yeah,
it's not great. Like it's like mid tier for me, but I still like it quite a bit.
yeah.
I'm probably in the
If you say
minority.
late registration, I'm hanging up. Registration, I'm hanging up right now.
No, I can't say that. I mean, late
Okay.
registration's like probably like top 5. It's not. Yeah, on it. It's good. It's like it's an extension of the college dropout.
Yeah, it's better than college
For
dropout.
me, wow, better than the college dropout. Now you've got
Way better, way better.
I don't know
Trying
about
to
that.
when he made college dropout.
I think my only problem with the college dropout is all the skits. Like
Yeah,
I think the vinyl version is like the most complete. Like because like what they did, I guess, is they cut all the skits from it, so there's not like interruptions every 3 songs, which I think
yeah,
is nice. But I don't know, something about late registration for me feels like not every song on there is like my cup of tea. I mean, there's still a lot of great ones on there, but
yeah,
you know, I still think I think the college dropout is just it's amazing for me.
yeah, yeah. They're both great.
Yeah. But the worst, I think this is definitely a hot take, and I've gotten a lot of shit for this in the past, but I would say The Life of Pablo, if we're not counting Jesus is King or Yay or anything like that. Because I think to me, my Life of Pablo reminds me a lot of like the White Album by the Beatles. Like a lot of great individual tracks, but not artistically complete.
Yeah, I definitely think it was his most like. Well, yeah. Besides the newer stuff, he was kind of like getting like a shorter and shorter attention span, as he went. Still like a pretty fucking good album, but
Yeah, I mean, there's great individual songs, but like I find it very difficult to listen to that album all at once.
yeah,
I would with like The College Dropout or, Graduation or My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy,
yeah.
That's just how I feel about it. That's my 2 cents.
I appreciate that. That's a good take.
Thank you. Thank you. But I guess to finish off the interview here, like what are some other music goals you have for the future? It seems like you have a lot of great stuff ahead of you, but just curious to see like where you want to go other than these new records and other stuff like
I
that.
want to go all over. I want to tour. I want to have a really cool live show that's like related but pretty different from the records. I want to put out a lot more records before I get old and tour the world.
Sweet.
Producing for other people. So like I've been doing that more, as we were talking about before before the interview or whatever. But definitely some exciting stuff in the works. And I really like working one-on-one and also in groups. And yeah, I have gotten more into like producing for other people since I got out here to LA. And so, yeah, I would say one of my favorite artists is this guy, El Guincho. I don't know if you know him, but he had kind of a streak of like indie label records. I think he was on XL, and then he ended up producing Rosalia. He's like her main producer now. I think that's a really cool path of like, or like Rostam from Vampire Weekend's kind of a similar thing, but like making a bunch of records and then looking back and being like, okay, that was cool, but not trying to like fight to stay relevant, and rather just be like, okay, now I can like work with other people and help other people like, create their vision. So
Okay.
Yeah, I would say like for the foreseeable future, it's putting music out under my name, maybe some aliases too, and then like mostly producing for other people. But obviously, like one side always informs the other, so it's a combination of those things. But yeah, sorry to say specifically, I would say have a kick-ass live show, tour, put out a lot of records in the next few years.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, listen, thanks so much, BAIRD. Thank you for giving me your time. Guys, his links will be down in the description below. Hope you guys are all doing well, staying safe. BAIRD, you as well. And
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks again for sitting down. See you guys on the next one.
Rock on.